Good morning, YouTube. Zach Meyer Property Maintenance. I have you nestled down over here because I tried to do this video earlier and the camera overheated, which kind of sucks, and then it just shut off and it didn't save the video for whatever reason. But I really wanted to do a video kind of about how I got started in excavation, where I come from, all that good stuff. I know on a lot of other YouTube channels, you'll see, people will, they'll post, a video about how they got started. So how I got started in excavation. So let's go back to, when I was a kid. I grew up on a farm in Chester County, Westchester area, and I got exposed to a lot. I'm the oldest of 6. Now, they're not all full blood brothers and sisters, but steps and halves and whatnot mixed in. But, for the first, I was, I'm the oldest, and essentially I was kind of the experiment. So my dad is a local home builder. We had a small backhoe and, like a big mower and stuff like that to cut the pastures and whatnot. So, from the age of about 6, 7, I could cut the grass. I could dig holes with a backhoe. They let me do that. Probably a bunch of things that today's parents would roll over in their graves, watching. But this was, in the 90s and stuff, and I was the firstborn, and they were just kind of going by, let's see what happens kind of situation. So I got to the point, where I would be out on the job site and stuff like that, and I would sit up in the dozer sometimes with my dad's subcontractor, because I loved the equipment. It was so cool to me, and this giant thing pushing dirt around, I thought it was amazing. So occasionally I would sit up there and on his lap as a little kid, and they'd be pushing dirt around, and I'd be mesmerized, and I always thought it was super cool. Now, at that time, I never thought in my life that I would ever get involved with owning stuff like that and doing that kind of work. So coming out of high school, like 2009, 2010, and I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. Everybody's going to college. I'm going for this, I'm going for that, I'm going to Penn State, I'm going to, Maryland, wherever. And, my parents had told me, hey, well, we don't have money to send you to college. And, I didn't know nothing about loans or, financial aid or any of that stuff. I just thought, oh, well, if we don't have the money, then I guess I can't go. I was like, well, that kind of sucks, because a lot of my friends and stuff moved away, and, I didn't know what I was going to do. So I started working, because I obviously had to pay for, my car and my gas and, food and, car insurance and stuff like that. So I started out, first thing I started out doing was painting. I worked with a painter for like 8 or 9 months. It was okay, but I don't know. It just wasn't for me. I knew that it wasn't going to work out, and I forget, they fired me for something stupid. I think somebody else that had worked with them before came back into the mix, and they got rid of me. So that ended there. Then after that, I did plumbing HVAC work. I was kind of just like a helper to one of my dad's subcontractors, and he's awesome. I still talk to him to this day, and it was kind of short-lived. I thought it was interesting, but I didn't really have a passion for it. My heart really wasn't in it, and it wasn't one of those things that I knew that I was going to pursue. And at the time, I'd never even thought about being self-employed. Like, none of this really was coming up in my brain. So I knew that wasn't going to work. So at the time, Craigslist was really big for anything, selling stuff, help wanted, work wanted, whatever. So I found an ad for landscaping, for cutting grass. And a guy was local, was right in Downingtown. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Like decent pay for the time. Believe it or not, $11 an hour at that time was actually half decent. I know that's insane to think, but yeah, I started at $11 an hour in 2011. So I didn't know anything about landscaping. I didn't know anything about grass. I couldn't run a mower. I could turn on a weed whacker. That was about all I could do. And I went around and I would cut 180 lawns a week with 2 other guys. And for the first 2 months of that affair, I did nothing but weed whack and blow. I didn't touch a mower because I didn't know how. And I also didn't know how to drive a truck and trailer, because that was the main reason. Can you drive a truck? Yeah, I can drive a truck. Can you drive a truck and trailer? I don't know. I've never tried. Well, he just kind of said, well, here's the keys. The Mexicans will tell you where to go. Make wide turns. And that was it. That is how it started. So I was in the landscape industry first before I got into excavation. Everybody's got to start somewhere, and a lot of times that's where everybody starts, because it's easy to get into. It's hard to stay in. So I go around and we would cut 180 lawns a week. Eventually, they started to let me use the mower and whatnot on in a big wide open farm and stuff like that. That's kind of how I learned how to actually run a mower. So I was working Monday through Saturday, and I still really didn't have a lot of money. I had a car, I had a street bike, and a couple of dirt bikes, and I lived in my parents' house. I remember the first time that I ever did a job for myself, a guy came up and said, hey, can you do my mulch? And I said, I don't know. I said, let me call my boss. And he said, I'm just entirely too busy right now. I really can't take on any more work. So I said, okay. I was like, well, what do I tell him? He said, well, tell him you can't do it. And I said, well, can I do the job on the side? And he said, sure. He said, if you put gas in the truck and, don't break the tools and stuff, you can do a mulch job. I don't mind that. So, we still do talk, me and my old boss, here and there. And, I really appreciate, him doing that for me. At the time, it probably meant nothing to him, but that really opened up the door for me. And once I got comfortable doing some stuff on my own, because it's nervous doing anything for the first time, and I had one of the Mexican guys who knew a lot more about the cost of mulch and what was involved and how much mulch we needed and what we could charge. So I give him so much credit. He's back in Mexico now. He's tried to come back up here a few times, but it hasn't really worked out for him. But Daniel, if you ever watch this, all of this really happened because of you. So just so you know. So we started doing jobs on the side, and then going into 2012, I really wanted to raise, because I always felt like I was doing way too much for not enough pay. And Monday through Saturday, that'll beat up on you after a while. And then Sunday I was doing jobs on the side, so I was working every day. Doesn't mean that I wasn't going out and doing normal early 20s kid stuff. I would go do that. I would go to the bar, and I'd wake up at 6 a.m. and I'd go to work, and I'd do it all over again. I can't do that now, and I don't do that now. I really don't even drink that much anymore. But young 20s, everybody was kind of like that. At least guys in the trades are a little crazy. So I got into 2012, and I got a raise, and it still wasn't enough. And I don't know, we had our differences and whatnot, and I just decided one day, I can't really remember the particular day, but I woke up, I was not in a good mood. I went to work, and at the end of the day, I got home, and it was maybe 8 o'clock at night. And I remember just sitting in my car. I do remember sitting in my car, and I was so tired, and I said, I'm done doing this. I'm done making money for somebody else. I'm fully capable of doing this, and nobody's going to stop me. So I had to make some hard decisions. I sold my BMW. I sold dirt bikes, sold my street bike. I went and bought a crappy truck, and I spent pretty much all the money that I had left over on a walk-behind mower. So I spent all my money on pretty much nothing, because I had no credit. That I didn't even really know anything about credit or interest rates or any of that stuff. Nothing. Zero. Because nobody taught me. So how would I know? And from there on out, I was wheeling a walk-behind out of the back of my truck, and I was knocking on doors. I was doing anything that I could to get some work for myself, because I was hungry and I really wanted this to work, and there really was nothing to fall back on. I wasn't going to college. Nobody was giving me any money, and I just knew that this was it. It was go forward. That's it. There is no backwards for me, and I've always been like that. I always felt uncertainty was weakness, and I was certain that this was going to happen, and I was going to make it happen at all costs. It didn't matter. Everybody thought I was crazy. All my friends, some of my family members were like, it's not going to work, and just, but I just completely blacked that out. It did not mean anything to me at that point. I was like, all right, I'm doing this. So we eventually got going. I was able to buy a trailer. I was able to get enough clients to actually pay for some stuff. But might I add, at the end of the month when I was done paying everything, fuel bill, credit card, and all that stuff, there was times I only had like $200-300 in my bank account. I had no money, and it was painfully difficult in the beginning to start something from nothing. No name, I wasn't taking any handouts from anybody. I didn't buy another business or anything like that. Like, I solely built it on my own account and my own reputation for being a nice kid at the time. So we were starting to creep into like 2018. I'm starting to do like, some other stuff like, drain work and, some mild erosion control stuff, renting equipment here and there. And I loved it. I thought it was awesome. And really my body started to tell me that either you're going to invest in going bigger and, growing your business, or you're going to do something different, because my legs hurt, my joints hurt, my neck hurt, my brain hurt, everything hurt after each day. And I was, young. I'm still young, but I was younger, and that's not good. And I've heard people tell me, I had back surgery when I was 40 or whatever, and I'm like, I'm not going to be doing all that. I'm not going to be having back surgery and before I'm 40 or 50 or whatever. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to change. So I'm going to make my life better. What can I do to make my life better? So basically the combination of that and you're not having the passion anymore. I didn't have the passion like I did in the beginning. Like I wanted to make people's houses look nice, and I wanted to do that stuff and whatnot, and I really did love doing that. I loved seeing people happy. It was more rewarding than the check, I'm not gonna lie. And then the referrals and stuff like that. So it was good in the beginning, but then you get to the point when you just can't do everything yourself, and you can only make so much money with 2 or 3 guys working for you, and you yourself taking on a lot of stuff. So I just knew that I needed to make a change, and if your heart's not in it and you're not passionate about it anymore, you're miserable waking up. It was like going right back to a 9-to-5 basically. I felt the same way. I was just I was hurt. I didn't want to do it. And I knew that I was capable of doing a lot more. And what that was going to be, I didn't know, but I knew I was going to do something different. Wasn't going to do tree work. I'm not the biggest fan of heights, and I was going to keep my feet on the ground. It's a dangerous service. There's a reason why tree work costs as much as it does, because of, how dangerous the work is. But I was sitting around, it might have been the winter of 2018, and put you guys up here real quick. And I saw this guy on this YouTube channel, Upstate Brush Control, and he was doing forestry mulching. He had a skid loader, and he had this big drum out there on front of the thing, just chewing up wood, material, brush, underbrush, all that stuff. And I was like, man, what is that? That looks awesome. So started doing more research and stuff on it, how much the stuff costs. You know what I mean? A CDL, commercial driver's license to tow around some big stuff that's actually going to perform in a timely manner, for that kind of work. And I learned really quickly through talking to people that that was not going to be the best thing to do for me around in my area. If you're in a more rural area, you know what I mean, then, you know, that's fine and all. But I just knew that that wasn't going to work. So I was like, okay, well, I need to be able to, you know, offer other services and stuff like that. And what kind of equipment was I going to buy? Well, I thought about a skid loader, and I started to put more thought into it, what a skid loader was capable of doing. How many people have a skid loader? That's the thing, is that everybody has a skid loader. So I was like, well, I don't want to be like everybody else. So I started looking at excavators, and I started looking at what size excavator was going to be the best situation for me. And I agreed on a 7,500 pound machine from Caterpillar. I demoed a bunch of other stuff. So I went and, you know, bought the excavator. I bought a new truck, 2 trailers. I also had to get a DOT medical card in order to tow a certain amount of weight. So there's a lot of things that changed in my life very, very quickly. I wasn't used to it. It was definitely making me feel more alive. It made me feel more like it's time to perform. It's time to go out and make some things happen now that we bought this stuff, because it costs a lot of money. You can't really afford to have it sit around for very long, because when that payment shows up, trust me, it's going to push you out the door. It's going to push you into doing bigger jobs. It's going to help you build confidence, knowing that you have a responsibility. And that's really, it did help me. You know, people are terrified of some of these large payments if you're not used to making them, but when you do have something to pay for, it helps move you up a tier in terms of your confidence level and what you feel you're capable of. So it's kind of weird how that works. If somebody just gave it to me, it might be a lot different. I might not have pushed myself the way that I did. But so we get into doing, you know, excavator related work, and, you know, we do a lot of erosion control. I have a brush cutter, obviously, for my other videos and stuff for the excavator. And that thing's awesome. It does, you know, everything it needs to do for me for now. I had a loader, and I got rid of it last year because it was costing me so much money to own, and it wasn't making enough money. It wasn't even making enough money it didn't make enough money last year to actually pay for the thing for the year. I lost money owning it. And that's when I recognized that most of my work is pretty much going to be excavator related. And since I got rid of that, yeah, it did free up some, you know, some money each month, but it also made me a better operator. It made me utilize my buckets. It made me utilize my dozer blade more. It transformed me from being like a decent operator to like a really good operator. Now, I'm sure that there's guys out there that are way better than me and have been around for much longer, and, you know, they know what I'm talking about. But over time, you know, you spend more time in something, you learn to use it in different ways, and you know, you really maximize its capability. So that's kind of what's happened. The excavator has maximized my capability and its own capabilities and what it can do. Awesome machine. Caterpillar's great. Got no complaints. It's just a really good machine. I service it. I take care of it. It's my baby. And you know what I mean? She performs flawlessly for me thus far. So that's kind of how I got into excavation. I just knew that I needed to make a change. I knew that I needed to find a passion. I knew that I needed to do something that was a little less intrusive on my body. And I don't mind working by myself. I mean, you know, there are times when I have, you know, subs and stuff help me do jobs, or, you know, I have guys come in and help with, you know, some stuff, you know, maybe like laying pipe or something like that, which is nice to have them when I can call upon them. But a lot of the stuff I do myself, I'm okay with doing that stuff myself. I'm okay with making the money that I'm making. I'm not trying to set the world on fire. I don't need to make $1 billion to be a happy guy. It's just not required for me. Other people are different. Now, I am hungry for my work, and you know, I enjoy, you know, doing my work. That's a big thing. If you can wake up every morning and you can enjoy what you're doing to an extent, you're in the right place. In landscaping, I lost that, and my body was telling me it was time. So that's really kind of how things unfolded. And I knew I wanted to build my own business. I wanted to build my property maintenance, my name. I didn't buy something else from someone else that somebody else built. My relationships with my customers are built on me, and my performance level and my communication, and doing good for the community, man. Like, I don't want to take more money from people than I have to if I'm charging for a service. I charge accordingly. A lot of times for bigger jobs and stuff, we'll do day rates. It's fair to the customer. It's fair to me. And I want good referrals and stuff. I want people to be happy with the money that they've spent with me. That's so important to a small business, is really caring about your customers. I care what people think. It's important to me, just as much as a friendship is with a friend. Business relationships are extremely important to me. And executing on time and being and communicating and stuff. I don't care how many phone calls you got to return. You got to return your phone calls, and you got to return emails. And I never had an issue with doing that. I love people, and I love communicating with them, and trying to help them, and giving them a good service, and being honest is very important as well. So all that stuff is super important to me. My community and whatnot, and how I'm viewed as a person, and especially as a business. All that is top tier. So try to provide a good quality service, try to be a good guy. I warranty my work. So that's kind of how I, price accordingly, is, because warranted something, it makes you feel better, when the job's done. I'll always communicate with you. I'll try to do everything I can for you. So I always leave the door open for anybody, if anybody ever has questions and stuff regarding jobs, or I always follow up with estimates. Communication is the shortest distance between two people. And the sooner that you know that, it'll make you a better businessman. Got to communicate well. So that's pretty much it. That was how I graduated into excavation, and yeah, it's been fun so far, and I probably will be doing this for the rest of my life. I don't really have any intentions on essentially retiring. I'm smart with putting money aside and stuff like that, but the day that I officially retire, I'll probably die not too long after that. So I would say semi-retired until I literally can't climb into a machine is probably when I will decide to throw the towel in. But I like it. I like it a lot. I like running the equipment. I know that it can get repetitive with certain things, but I wouldn't want to be doing anything else for the rest of my life, nor could I think of something else that I would really love to be doing as much as what I do now. And I've built some really good friends and stuff in the business as well, networking and whatnot. Other guys that are around my age that deal with the same things that I deal with. We can all relate and understand each other, so that's nice. But yeah, getting into excavation is not an easy thing. It's not something that I would recommend to everybody unless you have a burning passion for it. And if you have the drive and will to look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm gonna win, I'm gonna succeed, there is no failure, I'm only going forward, then you will be fine. You will find ways to make it work for you. Walking in and talking to small businesses and cold calls, and going into churches and stuff, just making your presence known, handing out business cards, talking to people anywhere, golf course, a bar, whatever. Give them a card. They see that you're a good person, they get a good vibe from you and stuff. They might not call you right away, but one day you might get a call from that person, and then it opens up a whole nother chain of referrals that you can get. So just be a good person is really the moral of that. But yeah, that is how I went from basically nothing to a little bit of something. My heart just wasn't in it anymore, and that's really what it comes down to. You got to be passionate about what you're doing. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to do a video and just kind of explain a little bit about me. Hopefully you learned something about me. Yeah, so hey, enjoy the rest of your day. The weather is coming around here. I think it's going up to like 50 today and sunny, so it's nice, and everybody's spirits are up, hopefully. And yeah, so anyway, have a great day.